If you're a software engineer or you're trying to get into the field of software engineering, there seems to be one thing that no one is really talking about. So I've been a software engineer for about 15 years. And during that time, I have helped dozens of friends like help get new jobs and go on the job hunt and find new things. And even in the past year, people have been paying me for some advice for mentorship and finding new jobs. And there's a lot of things that I've learned in the past couple of years. For example, since starting this channel, I've replied to literally thousands of comments, and a lot of them are about asking what they can do to advance their career or find a new job or what is a good way to get into the field or break into the field or advance in the field. But one of the problems is that every job hunt, when you're searching for that next job, is different. So in this video, I want to talk about the 3 levels of job hunting that you will find in your career as a software engineer. Because the thing is that when you start as an entry-level employee, is going to be a different job hunt from when you're a mid-level engineer, and then also when you're a senior engineer. All those different jobs are going to have different ways of approaching the act of finding new work. So first, let's go to level 1. That's kind of the entry-level positions, all the junior engineers out there. And I'm going to say something that's encouraging, but also a little daunting. And the thing is that this stage is going to be the most stressful, the hardest part of finding a job in your entire career. Getting started is the hardest part. From there on out, after you get that job, things should be easier. I don't want to discourage people from getting into the career because I still think it's a good career, but let me dive into some of the details. So when you're just starting, you're essentially a clean slate. You don't have any professional experience showing that you can code professionally. And the key to this stage is actually trying to find an advantage over all the other entry-level employees, how to make yourself not necessarily like stand out, but establish that you can actually do the job and spin up quicker. This may actually like hurt some feelings, but when you are an entry-level employee, when you're getting that first job outside of college or the boot camp or being self-taught, that first job, you're going to be a burden for the team. And the key is how to make yourself a contributing part of the team as fast as possible. Because in the beginning, you're going to be taught a lot of different things about the professional side of building software, which is something that you don't get taught in school, in boot camp, or even finding things online. No one ever talks about how you build code professionally. They just talk about, I don't know, elite code and system designs and stuff like that. Like, sure, you have to learn that stuff, but we're not talking about how the work is actually done professionally. So some of the key things that you will be lacking as an entry-level employee is that you've never worked on professional software. It's a completely different animal than when you are working on open source or when you're working on a side project or a class project. This is an entire different animal, and there's a lot of things to consider. You've also probably never worked on an engineering team, working alongside other engineers to work together and build something big. And also, you probably have never had to build software for someone that's not an engineer, some business person that's trying to get something done, someone that is trying to make their job easier so that they can move on and use software to benefit their job. You probably haven't had the experience to work with those kind of people and also deliver work for those kind of people. So when you get started in an entry-level position, you're going to have to learn these things quickly. And don't worry, like these are hard things. It takes a long time to get used to these kind of skills. So for getting the job, we want to try to find any sort of advantage over the other entry-level applicants so that we can try to stand out and get that job. So there's kind of 3 main ideas of how to gain an advantage. And one of the main things is referrals. Now, at this stage, like you may not have professional referrals because you haven't worked professionally yet, but the idea is that you can still use referrals so that people can put your name in ahead as kind of like a character witness. Like they're allowed to say that like, oh, this person's a hard worker. They've done the work. I've seen them code. They can spin up and they can do this job. They will learn and spin up quickly. That's a great referral. And referrals are such great ways to get into those companies. Another thing is internships. Now, I didn't do internships before I became a software engineer, and that was a huge mistake. That was like a big regret of mine because it was so hard to try to find and make connections and getting that first job. And the problem was that when I was looking for that first job as an entry-level programmer, I had no one to back me up. And with an internship, that's the closest thing you get to real-world software, but as an intern. And so that way you can break in through internships if you can find them. And one final way to really stand out is doing some sort of big project. Now, I'm not talking about class projects. I'm not talking about like assignments and something that can stand out and you can get some real users on. This is where you can try to replicate as much as you can to like how you build software in the professional world. You can get requirements from people. You can get feedback and correct and pivot and like add on features and fix bugs. Like when you do that that kind of cycling through. You're versioning your systems, you're keeping a list of the things you need to build, things you need to fix, and you're doing kind of the work of a professional engineer, but like as a project. If you can handle those kind of requirements in a big project, then that's some great experience before you get to that first professional engineering job. So to be a software engineer, you do have to have some level of education. And then the internet is completely divided on what's the best way. There's three different camps. There is getting a traditional CS degree or engineering degree. There's also a boot camp, whether that's web dev engineering boot camp, that goes from anywhere 3 to 8 months of like intense study. And there's also the self-taught path. And I hate to be the bearer of the bad news, but when you're an entry level applicant, these matter a lot. Like how you learn to code has a great influence on whether or not you are able to take the job, be able to get hired for that job. The idea is that the employer is looking for any sort of evidence that can show that you can do the job. With a CS degree, they show that you have proven that you know the foundations. If you are a bootcamp grad, it shows that you have someone saying that they have gone through this kind of coursework in this short period of time. When you're self-taught, it's a little bit more difficult to establish like, yeah, I know how to code. To get yourself even before the interview to say that like, yeah, I know how to code because I taught myself. The hard work comes with proving that you can code and do this in a professional setting. So that being said, nowadays, self-taught engineers are harder to come by because of this reason. It's much tighter labor market, so they are screening people out as much as they can. And if you don't have any sort of boot camp or degree showing that you know how to do this job, you're probably going to get screened out unless you already have a referral, which is actually social proof of someone saying that you can do the job. And even with a boot camp, it's a little bit harder there too, because it's hard to learn this kind of job, this skilled labor in under a year. Like there's a lot of things to learn and it's hard to do that in that short of a time. But here's the thing, even if you have a degree, that's not enough. It's just not enough. And it took me a long time to realize that. Undergraduate degree, a 4-year computer science or engineering degree just establishes that you know how to learn the fundamentals. You have the foundational knowledge to be trained for a job. You don't get on-job training in college. It's just there to establish that, oh yeah, he knows a few things. He knows the basics of like software engineering, but the training part, that's a professional setting. That's for internships. That's for that first job. You will only learn that there. Getting a degree does not mean that you have earned the right for that job yet. You still have to prove yourself and learn a lot on the job. So in summary, for the entry level, you need to have some sort of evidence or social proof that you can do the job in a professional setting. Now keep in mind, like in a professional setting is an entirely different animal. And I plan on having many follow-up videos of explaining like what it's like to build software in a professional setting, because it is entirely different from what you would learn in a boot camp or in your degree or on your own. So try to take care of the things that are in your control, is finding referrals, trying to find an internship, or even building some projects that show that you can do a lot of this work on your own. Okay, now let's talk about level 2. And this is like the middle level. And so congratulations, you have a few years under your belt. Maybe it's 3 to 7 years of experience. And now if you're looking for a job at this stage, it's a little bit different. First off, the idea of your education, boot camp, CS, or self-taught, that doesn't matter anymore. I mean, by and large, it does not matter. That requirement only matters in that first year getting that first job. At this point, employers are more focused on what you've done in the professional setting. Sure, I know that there are probably jobs that automatically screen out people that don't have a degree or something along those lines, but at this point, you kind of have two weapons to try to find that next job. And let me explain what those are and how you can use them to find kind of like a mid-range job in this career. Weapon 1 is your resume. So for example, if you have like 5 years of experience, you still have to establish what you did in those 5 years, because there's still a chance that you didn't learn that much in those 5 years. There are some jobs out there that will not challenge you, that will not advance your career or your skill sets. So the goal is to make sure that your resume is concise and actually shows the cool and hard things that you've done so far. Weapon number 2. Now this is your network. People that you know. Now, some people may say that, but Cody, I don't have a network. I don't know who I should talk to and everything. Of course you do. Of course you have a network. During those 5 years, for example, those 5 years that you've been working, you've worked alongside other engineers, you've worked alongside business people, probably project managers, designers, and also the people that you went to school with, whether that be undergrad or boot camp, or the people that you learned to code with. Those people now also have 5 years of experience. That's a solid network. Those are people that will help you find jobs at the mid-level wherever they are currently. And the idea is that I want you guys to think about nurturing and working on your network throughout your whole career. That is just like keeping in touch with people. That's really what it boils down to. Also, the people that you work with are like the best people to have in your professional network because they can vouch for you because they've worked side by side with you, seeing you get the job done. And they've done the job with you. So they will refer you even stronger than if it was just someone that you've known for a few years and never worked with. So let's go on to level 3. Now, if you're not at this level where you have like 10 plus years of experience, that's okay. There's still stuff here that you can learn from and actually plan your career to like have some better ideas before you get to this level. So for this level, I'm not going to speak too much on it because your career can vary greatly. At this mark, you can deviate to go into management or like directors or start your own business. There's a lot of things you can do, but there's a lot of parallels between a lot of these options, and I'm going to talk about them here. And some of the parallels that go over all these different options of where you could be at this stage in your career kind of boils down to your professional network, the people that you know. That is the strongest like core part of your career. And they may not even be people you know, just people that you have maybe worked with a little bit or people that know of the work you've done. So you kind of have a reputation. So that kind of boils down to like two really core things at this stage when you're like a senior with like over 10 years of experience. And one of the things is that you rarely cold apply to jobs. Almost all of the job movement at this stage is people that you've worked with, that you want to work with again, that you got referred to, that someone has seen your work or knows of you and says, hey, I think you'd be great for this role. Come in and apply. It's rare that this stage, when you're at this level in your career, that you're actually on the hunt. You're going through LinkedIn and doing the easy apply. Although your experience and your resume will get you far, it's rare that many people are using that as an option to find new jobs at this stage. And the second commonality between this kind of stage of your career is that your resume actually doesn't matter that much. It's more about your network and your reputation and the ability for you to solve the problems. Because when you're getting into a new job as a person of this seniority, is that you already come in at a level of trust that you can get the job done. And also the skills, the frameworks and everything that job may have, you may have never touched them before, but like if you've been doing this professionally for about 10 years, you can probably jump into any language or framework and still carry over the proper engineering principles to get the stuff done that should be done. So it doesn't matter too much what your resume says, just the fact that you have a network, you have professional reputation to be able to get stuff done, and then you can be more agile as you jump into different kind of topics and domains. And sometimes you can even start specializing at this stage. I just want to overstate that almost all my videos, I bring this up, but like having a network, networking and expanding who you know and who you can work with is such an important thing to constantly do and grow and get better at throughout your career, and will pay huge dividends at this stage when you're 10 years into your career. Because let's be honest, it's a cliche thing to say, but the world is very small and there's a good chance that you'll run into people that used to work with another person, and you will cross paths with someone that you worked with 8 years ago, but you're excited to work with them again. So I'll say it again, no matter what stage you are in your career, network, network, network. Just try and get better and better at it every single year. So in conclusion, where you are in your career, how much experience you have will greatly determine like how you're going to approach your job hunt. If you have 10 years of experience, you're not going to be doing the same thing and worried about the same thing as an entry-level employee. There's different strategies and things to focus on for each stage of the journey. If you're thinking about computer science or you're thinking about software engineering, go ahead and check out this video I have about whether or not you should get a computer science degree in the year 2024. I also just want to end this video saying that I truly love helping people and mentoring people as they advance in their career and they grow into different parts of their areas, and being able to use my experience as something that can help someone else. So do not hesitate to send a question in the comments. Let me know what you guys are curious about. What do you want to learn about? Or even shoot me an email. So yeah, just go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. And if you made it this far, go ahead and put a cookie emoji in the comments so that I know that you've made it this far and I can thank you directly for watching. But I hope this helps, guys. Let me know if you want any more information or any sort of kind of caveats or more information, or there's any ideas that you want me to expand on in future videos. But I'll see you in the comment section. I'll see you guys later.